The B.I.S.S brings together the people and the culture all around the Baltic Sea. Think the link is the overall topic, which brings the topic of all the four B.I.S.S together. Think the link is the link between the cultures. It is the link between the different countries taking part, as well as the link between the disciplines. The main aim of the B.I.S.S is to explore different teaching formats in the interdisciplinary context.
I think interdisciplinarity is very important these days, as the complex problems of our world that we live in cannot be solved by only one discipline anymore.
During the week, we're expecting for them to kind of be first exposed to new methods, which is the whole aspect of B.I.S.S about multidisciplinarity and how they could learn from one another. That's why we have multiple disciplines and engineers, architects, and we're hoping that they're going to learn from one another. Secondly, we're hoping that they're going to create loads of concepts and design ideas that they can present.
The topic of this year's B.I.S.S, it is a transition place. A place in transition, which is important for the city of Hamburg because it's also the entrance place. Coming from the south, you enter Hamburg. And this place is, in the moment, in a way empty. It's just occupied by cars, and it will transform.
How many more? I feel so okay.
Good event, German mythology.
This is Hamburg, as you see it here, is very flat. It's not like Munich, like Frankfurt. It was not like here. It was like a block structure, and there was only one lane. It was not that huge autobahn like you see here with 8 or 12 lanes. It was only about 4 lanes, and like the Mercedes down the rooftop, and it's kind of, and it survived the World War II. Why to remove it? So.
So you have, on the one side, you have the urban flow, so the cars and the traffic flowing into the city, but on the other side, this place is important and under transformation. It will consist, it will develop, and that's what the students are working on this year. They will develop solutions how this transition can take place.
We want to make a connection. We have the urban open spaces, so we have been looking a lot into how can we connect the ears, the space down here, the residential part, and still have the road.
Yeah, because in the future, this area will actually be part of the city center.
We were discussing a bit in the beginning, like what direction and what is relevant to do, and I mean, I guess ending up in this short of time, you can't have the highest of ambitions to finalizing a project, more or less. So we tried to go with a quite fun project that we could enjoy and still elaborate on.
I learned a lot, especially about how the architects work, because I'm trained as an engineer.
I think drawing is an extremely important tool, just using your pen and your hand, and the idea of trying to think through drawing. We're trying to say that you can sort of work at different levels and different scales at the same time, and I think drawing is a very good tool for that. So I think it's really important to make sure that you don't have to do all your research before you start doing all your design, before you start doing all your production, and before you do all your presentation. I think it's almost trying to split that up and have loads of work streams running in parallel, and I think the drawing could be the thing that connects those different work streams.
Additionally, we are including experts. These experts are members of our BeInterBaltic network, as well as they are members from the HafenCity universities, and these experts give external critique to the students.
You build your case, and I think
Saturday to Wednesday, we have so-called Food for the Day lectures. It's really related, very specific on the topic, and sometimes it's just inspiring. On 3 evenings, we have keynote lectures. They are also really from all disciplines and very inspiring, and it's a coming together.
And establishing a kind of insight into the poetic.
From one spot to the other, because this is alarming news.
We went to analyze the space. We thought that it was like a very creative place, and we really wanted to preserve the atmosphere that's there. So in that sense, we've decided to make a path that works for the space during the before phase and under the construction phase, and also afterwards. So it's like a very versatile area that can change while the rest of the area is also changing.
To erase one lane at a time for the cars and replace it with like startups and restaurants and allotments that the local people really can use and get benefits from.
A very, very long discussion, and we all agree that our project goes more on the theoretical side. So actually what we are doing is not trying to make a project that focuses on factability, but we're trying to make a statement. I feel really lucky because I found, it was by chance, we didn't really know each other from previously, but we have had so lively discussions. We haven't fought.
Yeah.
So this is really good.
We were waiting for the real big fight for the whole week.
But it never arrived.
Yeah.
So we're a bit disappointed.
Yeah, that's so pity.
But actually we managed to make, because from day one we were on the same page. And we have managed to make like really enriching discussion.
Sometimes it works better, sometimes it works less well. So I think in some of our groups it works quite good. So they're complementing each other and they also want to learn from each other. And then, of course, it depends also on the maturities within groups. So it can happen that one discipline has a big maturity and then the one person is maybe outnumbered, which makes it more difficult to have an impact.
It's always hard with group work, especially when you meet, when you work with people you don't know, but that's a challenge as well.
I will say that this is the scope of B.I.S. to give the students the framework for working together.
In your school, you only work with the people who are studying the same thing as you, so you kind of always agree on things. It's nice to have these different backgrounds and like, okay, the architects work like this, maybe I can take some of that back to my school and work a lot like that as well and still have my own background.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna take home with me, I think.
Me as well, and also the fact that the simplest solution is not always the one you have to go for.
Yeah,
I think it's really great to like just see different point of view. So like the whole project gets to get more complex, let's say.
How much is missing? We haven't finished anything yet. That's for sure. But everything is on the way there. Yes.
For me, what's important is to encourage the students to find themselves, to find what they really care about in this industry and in their own disciplines. Just how I found myself very recently.
I really appreciate the work of architects. They're always fascinating me, and as an engineer, I find it interesting to help to solve the problems they come out with when they have their big ideas. And
we're working with sound as our main theme. Taking the sound as an asset.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all the installations or sculptures deal somehow with sound, like either they transform them or they intensify them or they interact with them and to produce a new sound sphere.
And our vision is to make a sound barrier that goes under the passage and then it grows up here. And then it like turns into like an arch or a cantilever. Cantilever, yes. And then creating a space down here where you don't hear the traffic noise, so you can perform or I don't know,
or have a coffee
or
a beer.
Or just when we went to the site, we decided to actually intervene the building itself that is regarded sometimes as ugly and odd. So we're just working with it.
The whole project is an analogy to a windmill. And the windmill takes basically the power of the wind and converts it into a useful effort. So we're doing the same but in an urban scale. We take urban flows from the city and convert it into a spatial organization.
On Saturday, which is the final day, we have a jury. This jury then will just discuss and point out the outstanding work of the students.
That is now the complete situation. That's for me is transform. What's interesting is that below that space you catch the noise and put in the structure again, and then I think that's the most important part of it. Invite people to walk through, so to have a dynamic in the perspective and to recognize different qualities of the place. That's what I like.
Criteria could be laid out for you.
With the framing of your project idea. That there are other views on a presentation. I think that's generally very important.
Yes. Of a building and then perhaps the sewage system of the whole area.
Basically, in order to
Finally, we will have the formal ceremony to more or less close the summer school.
Die Professoren
because we knew it was going to be the last piece, and we really put our hearts in preparing it and creating this framework for everybody so that they have the opportunity to work together and to exchange and to really to have fun and to just explore and feel together. So we really wanted to create an amazing atmosphere for everybody so that they remember it.